The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. I've done some videos lately because what got me started was this mail where somebody was basically questioning, hey, when you criticize a comic, you criticize a decision, how much of it is legitimate? It's basically the summary. What of the critique is because you're just wanting to beat up on, a certain segment of the population. And I don't think anything quite underlines the toxic level of where our culture has gone to, where things as simple as preference is suspected to having ulterior motives behind it. This could be kind of a hard point to land, but if you just look at kind of ugly bigotry of the of the 70s, the 80s, or further back in time, just doesn't need a date attached to it, but further back than the last 20 years. It was to some extent, it was fairly straightforward, meaning, people hated people who were different. And so, you had comics, especially in the X-Men and others, that would kind of tackle that, the hatred of someone who was different for whatever reason. And I know there's been a lot of talk, like the X-Men were an allegory for race, has been an allegory for LGBTQ rights. It's sure, but it's higher level than that. It's an allegory for people who fear others who are different. And so it's a complicated topic for sure, but it didn't need to be much more complicated than that to recognize kind of the people you're dealing with. So, as an example, if you run across somebody in your life who's racist, dislikes, black people, white person dislikes black people, you can certainly go into their history and kind of dissect all the reasons they became that way. And there have been very successful movies that do exactly that. They decompress the topic, or deconstruct, rather, not decompress. Sometimes it's both. They deconstruct the topic to go, well, it's because of, this family upbringing and this event that happened when they were 8, and then this kind of the bad uncle who came over, and like all these, they go into a lot of reasons to deconstruct why the person got where they got. Which can tell an interesting story. It's certainly interesting in a, how might we prevent this in the future and everything else. But, and this is going to be a very hard point to kind of get across, but I hope you'll bear with me a little bit and at least put some thought to it. Does it really matter? Does it really matter how people got the way they got? Intellectually, I get why it may be entertaining, but, put it this way. If there's a security guard at the airport, and that security guard is racist, doesn't like black people. And so as people are going through to, get through security to board their planes, this person is discriminating and, letting kind of white people go through no problem, and then hassling black people and making several of them be late to their flights and so on. Does the backstory of that security guard matter? Or does the guy just get fired? It could be an and, not an or. Maybe it matters, but in the moment, that's somebody who's not competent, not capable of their job. Somebody who is, unfairly discriminating against others who shouldn't be in that position. We could go into all the reasons why they got there, but do any of those reasons matter in the sense of the job? Like if we learn the person had a tragic, childhood that, bound them into this kind of, bigoted way of thinking, it may make people understand the person more, may create some sympathy for that person, but they still shouldn't have the job. I think that there's a certain pragmatic element to all this that matters. I think that, and why this has to do with comics is there's a lot more deconstruction of why people think the way they think. And I don't know that it matters. I don't know that emotionally it matters. And so I'll give you kind of this example. If you dislike a comic, whether that comic is Superman, whether that comic is Hawkgirl, whether that comic is the X-Men, or whether that comic is Ghost Rider, so what really matters? You don't buy it. You don't buy the comic. The reasons why you're not buying it don't really matter to anyone. mean, I guess if it matters to anyone, it's Marvel, the publisher, the person trying to sell you the comic, perhaps the comic shop that's trying to resell that comic. To them, it matters why you don't like it. Do you not like it because it's strayed from the course of what the comic used to be and you like the way it was? Is it because the writing is bad, the art's bad, the tone is bad? Like, why do you dislike it? It's a very interesting topic to try and dissect if you're the person selling the comic. But beyond that, I don't really know that it's A, anyone's business, or B, that it matters in the first place. I watch these threads go by of people saying, I don't like this Hawk Girl comic. And then they post a wacky photo or a wacky caption panel. And that comic is given lots of them, lots of panels that I think in general are just bizarre, but taken out of context, they're even weirder. And I see then a lot of argument about speculating as to why the person doesn't like the comic with the standard things. This person's a bigot. This person's racist. This person is a Nazi. All this kind of stuff. But why? What's the point of that argument? What if a person goes on to Twitter and says, "Look at this stupid panel. This comic is dumb. I hate it." Does it matter to the people who are having an argument? It's not your money. What do you care why they dislike it? I see this like 4-dimensional chess game come into play of like, this person hasn't even read the comic. Maybe they're stealing it online. Maybe they saw it on a video and they didn't actually read it for themselves. They're just regurgitating. I don't know what the motives are. Neither do you. Nor does it matter. Person's not buying the comic. You could say, why is the person then wasting their time posting on social media? Again, who knows? Could be a lot of motivations. Maybe they're trying to get attention for themselves. Maybe they thought it was funny and they wanted to share it. Maybe they're just pissed off today and they want to inflict pain on someone else. I don't know. But at the end of the day, movies, comics, all these things, they only matter to you, the person buying it, and to some extent, the person selling it. All the rest of us are observers in a crowd, and while it might be fun to speculate, why somebody likes, this IDW Star Trek series and why they don't like Isom, what I always go to, what is the objective that's to be gained when you see these long threads of people going, these guys are making fun of a comic. Let's all speculate to the 500 reasons why. What do they hope happens? Do they hope that by pointing out all the reasons why the person's opinion is wrong, that the person's going to wake up one day and go, oh my God, I should be buying this comic. Right, let me find this. In fact, I need to go to the GoFundMe of one of these creators who's been doing this, because I've been beating up on this comic for years, and I probably owe them some money for all my angry, hurtful critique. I don't know, but again, what's the objective people are trying to do? That nothing. We're just clowning around, playing with opinions, very subjective opinions, and it doesn't matter. Why should we put other people's relative likes or dislikes above our own happiness? Sounds selfish in a way, but I made this point before. Be selfish. Like the things you like, dislike the things you don't like. The end. Ricky Gervais did a post saying, something to the effect of like, for jokes, you just tell. There shouldn't be no jokes off limits. Just tell the joke you're going to tell, and the end. And don't worry about what's going on there. Don't worry about just don't worry about it. Just let it be. Like what you like, don't like what you don't like, tell the jokes you're going to tell, and let the cards fall where they may. Well, that sounds good, of course. If people are going to come at you and try and, quote unquote, cancel you and take away your livelihood and attack you and drag you and all those other things, can't be quite that simple. A lot of comedians telling jokes at an earlier stage of their career do not have the financial backing to do stuff. A lot of comic publishers who are just publishing, they get approached or they get mail from people like, "Ooh, are you saying too much of the bad thing? Because if you do, we're going to run a smear campaign on you online." Not that any, upstanding people would ever do that in the comic book industry. Not that any news journalists would ever try and deliberately tank another company
for their own self-interest. Not that that would ever happen. I'm just saying. I understand it's not that easy. But by and large, I think one of the things that has changed for the worse is generally this desire to deconstruct why people like or dislike things, when really it could just be it could be just on the surface. You just not like it. The end. Doesn't have to be more complicated than that. In fact, making it more complicated than that pretty much leads to nothing but trouble. Anyway, it's a fascinating little phenomenon that goes on. Let me know what you think. First of all, am I landing this point okay? Maybe not. It's a sensitive topic. Whenever you talk about, bigotry, racism, all those other things, there's a lot to it. We've been kind of trained over the last several years to really want to get into the why. And okay, again, makes a good movie, might make a good book. In day-to-day life, I don't know that the why matters terribly. By the way, hopefully nobody's dumb enough to, use this as like, oh, this is Perch trying to excuse racism. No, somewhat the opposite, actually. I think when you go into the, the reasons why and you try and deconstruct the whole topic, I think you're giving justification for some of that stuff, when really, I think it's a much simpler answer. Don't really need to know why this person hates something. It's enough to know that they do. And the end. The reasons don't terribly matter. Or maybe they do. Maybe I've got it wrong. As always, let me know. Comments below. Like, subscribe. This is it's just one guy giving his opinions. I am not affiliated with any groups and or programs. Yeah. Thanks for listening.